For week 6 programming, we are finishing up the HTML and CSS at Codecademy. We are on the last module, which is right here, CSS element positioning, CSS positioning, and build a resume. You want to get check marks next to each of these deals right there and take a screenshot and upload it for credit. A few things to say when you come into this area. Right here, take a screenshot of this and just save it to your desktop. When we look at putting something on a web page, we have the content that we put onto the web page, and then that content will have a border around it, whether or not we show that border. There's a border around that content. And between this content and its border, there's a little padding which we'll be able to adjust, right? So there's the content, and then there's the border, and we could adjust padding between the content and the border. We could have no padding, or we could have a lot of padding. So if there's a picture inside of a frame with no padding, the picture would fill up the whole frame. If it was a picture inside a frame with some padding, it would be like a picture with, they do that white border stuff around the picture inside the frame. And then, you have the content, the picture, and then you have that white stuff, and then you have the frame or the border around it. And then finally, you could have a margin between your elements. And so these are all settings that you could set when working with objects on a page, working with content on a page. So this is just a good little picture to kind of like put on your desktop and start to sort of like, okay, which is the padding, which is the border, which is the margin. This is the border right here, this dark line. And you can show it or not show it. The padding is everything between the border and the content. And then on the other side of the border, anything between, how do we set space between this element and another element? That's the margin. And then you have the top padding, the bottom padding, the right padding, the left padding, the top border, the right border. So you can start to select all those individually and make settings to them. So that's just a good little image to take a screenshot of and reference back. And then I use an acronym PDF, because when we start talking about positioning things, you could position things either with position, absolute, relative, or fixed positioning, or P, right, positioning, or D, we could do it with display. And if we do it with display, it's block, inline, or none. And so PD, positioning, display, or F, we could do floating, right? And so all of those are different things that we use to sort of arrange content on a page. So PDF, positioning, display, floating, PDF, positioning, display, floating. And you're going to learn about those different things, and you're just exposing yourself to it right now. It takes a little time to sort of become clear on, how do you work with positioning, how do you work with display, how do you work with floating to get things to lay out the way you want them to lay out. So that's the first part here with CSS positioning, and then we're going to use what we've learned to build a resume. And when we're all done, our resume could look something like this. Over here, here we go, look at it full screen. Your name here, da 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 da. And so we're really on our way to sort of making a cool looking website. All right, I know that looks like a lot of code, but it's all stuff you've seen up to this point. And then we have a little style sheet attached to it with different settings, targeting the different, elements on this page, the IDs, or the, see, is there a class in here? Yeah, the classes or the elements, and then applying formatting to them. All right, so enjoy this one. It's the last one for HTML and CSS. And after this, we're going to start some other cool stuff, starting to apply some of these skills we're learning.